What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another video, and welcome to your stimulus package and infrastructure update for Friday, October 29th. Here's what's going on. First off, I got a lot of messages and comments yesterday wondering, did they pass this upcoming infrastructure bill? Here's the answer. It is no. You see it in the title. Biden stimulus delayed again. Why? What is going on? Is this ultimately going to pass? Well, according to multiple lawmakers, yes, this bill will ultimately pass. What we are hearing right now is this is just somewhat of a delay, not because lawmakers don't support what's in the bill. Some want more. Others just want to read the text of the bill to ensure that the American people actually get what they are being promised. And the third is, some just want to see a little bit of a delay so that both bills are passed together. It's the $1.2 trillion bipartisan bill and the $1.75 trillion human infrastructure bill. So that's what we're seeing at this time. In today's video, we're also going to touch on Social Security and what we're hearing there. Okay. Then I want to address what we're hearing coming out of the Air Force. Okay, because I think that's pretty big as well. Has to do with vaccines. And then also, okay, lastly, I just want to touch on what the Bureau of Labor and Statistics is saying regarding wages, because I think that is extremely important as well. So hopefully you guys are having an incredible Friday. If you could and you enjoy these daily uploads, do me a favor, go ahead, hit that like button, and let's get into the update. First, President Biden's hopes of heading to the climate summit with a new deal on climate change and ultimately our infrastructure bill, well, that was quickly stopped yesterday. Nancy Pelosi and President Biden both wanted to see that the bill was passed yesterday, that the House voted on the infrastructure bill. But here's the issue. They wanted to make sure the framework was together, it was agreed upon, which it was. But many people said that was not enough. Just because we agree on a $1.75 trillion framework on the human infrastructure bill doesn't mean that's enough. We also know that in this bill, there's about $550 billion for climate change. And I said this before, and this is something that many Republicans have said before as well, is that this bill, it's not so much a stimulus package. It's not so much a infrastructure bill either. This is pretty much just a Green New Deal. It's pretty much just a climate change deal. The majority of this bill is climate change. Okay, dealing with climate change. That's it. Some say it was just a disguise. But it is what it is. Progressives say they are eager to get both of these bills passed, but they have stated multiple times they wanted to see the text of this bill. Well, Nancy Pelosi gave them exactly what they wanted, or so she thought, but progressives said this wasn't enough. Nancy Pelosi said yesterday, and I quote, "For those who said, I want to see text, the text is there for you to review, for you to complain about, for you to add to or subtract from. Whatever it is, we'll see what consensus emerges from that, but we're really very much on a path." Here's what I can tell you. Progressives were essentially asking for the text of the bill. We need the text. But Nancy Pelosi took it as soon as I get the text, we can vote on the bill. Well, progressives said before, and this was months ago, they wanted to have 72 hours. Okay? 3 days. They wanted 3 days to review the bill, read over it, evaluate the text, make some changes if they see fit, but they needed 3 days, 72 hours. Okay, they got the text of the bill yesterday. So let's say they got it yesterday at noon, right? Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So we will not see a vote on this bill potentially until next week. Some are saying we could see this as soon as Monday. Others say that they are going to review this bill. They're going to review the text. They will come back if they see that there should be changes. And these won't be huge changes. These will be simple things like just cleaning up the verbiage, making sure it is going to the right individuals, the right people. Good news though, as far as the child tax credit payments, there will be no work requirement. So that's good news there. I know a lot of people were extremely worried about that. So if you do not work, whether you can't actually work because of a disability reason, or you just do not have a job at this time, good news, you will still be getting the child tax credit payments. Now, what I can tell you, Pramila Jayapal said, this is our chance to pass meaningful legislation for the people, and we will do that. What is expected, okay, by multiple news outlets is we will see some changes. These changes that are going to come, again, not big changes, going to be very small, but we will see some changes. So expect that maybe a vote doesn't happen on Monday, but the expectation is, even from President Biden and from multiple Democratic leaders, we will have a vote next week. Now, I'm laughing at this because I know I'm getting in the comments, I get it all the time. Hey, you said this week, next week. We've been saying this for months. Again, I'm just here to report what is being said by our lawmakers. I have no idea when they're going to vote outside of exactly what they tell us. Really, I'm just a guy on YouTube. I'm not a lawmaker. Okay, I'm not in Washington, D.C. Okay, I'm not, sitting at the president's desk. I'm not doing any of that stuff. Okay, so just understand, I am just telling you what we are hearing. But again, if you bash me in the comments, I completely understand, because we've been going over this stuff for months. But here's what Senator Bernie Sanders says. He said yesterday he would like to wait. He wants to wait to try to get more into this bill before it is ultimately passed. He understands this is going to pass. He understands where we're at, and we have a very small window to add in more stuff or take out certain provisions. But right now, he says progressives are all on board, but they are also on board of holding up the votes to ensure that this bill, it has at least most of what they want. But again, it's just a small little hiccup. So even though it's been delayed, according to reports, it will ultimately pass. Now, here's something somebody asked me yesterday. Can you let us know what is not in this bill? Because what we are hearing is that there's a decent amount of stuff in this bill. That everything, or 80% of President Biden's Build Back Better plan of $3.5 trillion is included into this bill. Now, 80% of his ideas, yes, but of his Build Back Better framework. This is not the same one that Bernie Sanders put out. Also, it's not 80% of the amount either. It's 50. Not 3.5. It's $1.75 trillion. Now, here's what is not included. Some of these things were not all from President Biden either. First off, there's no fourth stimulus check. There's no fourth stimulus check in here. It's not in here. Okay? I told you this yesterday. I've said this over the past couple weeks. There's no stimulus check. I don't see a way to get a stimulus check in here. Too many people that have considered this in the past aren't even discussing it at this time. We have heard reports that if we see an additional check, and they're not really calling it a stimulus check, if we see an additional check or checks to come out, it would most likely be sometime in 2022. And according to one report, it would be better to come out in 2022 for Democrats because it would come out in an election year. So it would come out for midterm. And if this comes out and Democrats are praising this and going campaigning on this, it's really going to help them. And according to some, this could be the only ticket for them to maintain the majority in the House and the Senate. Otherwise, the expectation is Republicans would potentially win both back. So we'll see what happens there. We also know there's no tuition-free community college. President Biden really wanted this. He even joked that his wife would probably make him sleep on the couch if this wasn't included, which is why they want to increase the amount for Pell Grants. I think it's only going to increase by like $550, so not much, but it's going to increase a little bit. There's no paid family or medical leave. That used to be 12 weeks. Saw a lot of support there. Then it was 4 weeks. We saw a lot of support there, even more support, and then it ultimately got cut, completely cut. There's no CEPP, that's the Clean Energy Performance Program, okay, for climate. Senator Joe Manchin opposed that. There's no dental or vision for the Medicare expansion, it's just hearing. There's lower prescription drug prices, okay, that's not included. Now, I just want to touch on dental and vision for a second. We got many reports a couple months ago saying that the Biden administration, their plan was in 2022, their plan was to start to include something for dental and vision for the Medicare program. But again, that was something that we could have started already. Well, again, if the bill passes, but that was ultimately pulled out. There's no 5 years of extended child tax credit payments. That's not included. We were supposed to go from 2021 all the way to 2025. So really 4 more years, but total 5 years. That wasn't included. Right now it's just 1 year. It was going to be 4, then it went down to 2, and then, like I said months ago, it was going to be 1 to 2 years. The expectation was 2, but they got down to 1. So, not great, but it is something. A tax on billionaires' income. It's not included. Senator Joe Manchin didn't like that. An investment into child nutrition. It's not there either. But here's what I can tell you. What we know is that Senator Gillibrand, she says that until the bill is printed, okay, until it is printed, she will continue to fight to try to include paid family medical leave. Senator Ron Wyden out of Oregon, he says that the bill is not dead, but it is looking like Senator Joe Manchin's 15% patriotic tax is going to make it into this bill. Now, here's the thing. We have no details on what this 15% patriotic tax is going to look like. However, we have been told everybody would have to pay into it. This would be a 15% patriotic tax for every single person. But President Biden has said, and he's pretty much been running on this, nobody making under $400,000 per year would see a penny more in taxes. However, there's been multiple lies there because everybody is going to see more in taxes. Whether it might not be federal income tax, but you will have to pay more in taxes at some point. As prices go up, taxes are going to go up. Okay? So just keep that in mind. What I can tell you right now is that the government is looking at multiple new ways to include some type of tax. And here's the reason why. We're spending just way too much money right now. We're not bringing in as much as we are spending, which means we have to collect more in taxes. Or we have to reduce our expenses. Which one do you think is more likely? Reducing the expenses as a country or just increasing taxes? One is much quicker than the other. You can reduce your expenses, however, it's very difficult to do, especially with our government. Or you can just increase taxes. Well, that's a little bit easier to do, especially if Democrats have their budget reconciliation, which just means they need 51 votes in the Senate. So right now, there's a lot of stuff up in the air, but what I can tell you is we should have answers very soon. Now, let's touch on Social Security for a second. I want to touch on this because a lot of people are wondering, where is the money for Social Security going to come from? How are we going to see a Social Security reform, an increase to benefits, right? Because what they're discussing for the Social Security 2100 Act is to increase the benefit to 125% of the federal poverty line. They also want to just make sure that Social Security is still around. We do not want that to go insolvent. We want to make sure the fund has money and that the recipients on Social Security, they're not having to go from 100% of their benefits down to 78% in the next, 15 years, okay, by 2036. So here's what's being discussed, okay, and I want to bring this up because some people have been asking, where are they getting the money? Are we going to be charged more in taxes? Potentially. But here's what we know. The way this currently works is Social Security, so there's two parts to Social Security, okay? There is a 6.2% payment that you make as an employee. There's a 6.2% payment that you make, or that your employer makes for you, Okay, total 12.4%. So 12.4% of your income is going into Social Security, but only up to $142,800 per year. So let's say you make $1 million, okay? $142,800 is taxed at 12.4%, and then that goes into Social Security. But the other money, the other $857,200, that is not taxed. There's nothing on that that's taxed. So that's tax free as far as Social Security is concerned. You still have to pay income taxes. Okay, there's still other taxes. But as far as Social Security, you don't have to pay that. But what they are wanting to do is they would like to increase that income, not go all the way up to $1 million, but go from $142,800 up to $400,000. That's going to be the new limit. Again, this is what the discussions are. But just to keep this in mind, this provision is not included into the Build Back Better plan. According to reports, this would bring in about $700 billion over the next 10 years. Some say this would actually dramatically increase the funds going into Social Security, which it would. Obviously, increasing taxes or increasing that income limit, that would increase this. But right now, some are saying that this is not being discussed. This is something that they don't want to put into this bill. This is something that they want to work on, continue the discussions, right? And potentially pass this in 2022, next year. Right now, reports indicate all recipients would receive after 2036, once we kind of hit this, hit this date of insolvency, that recipients would only receive about 78% of their current benefits. But let me ask you this. Would you be able to live off your Social Security benefit if it was only 78% of what you're currently getting? Let me know down in the comment section below. Because according to reports, about 95% could not live because they need and require this money to live. So any reduction in benefits would actually hurt and hinder millions of Americans. So let me know down in the comment section below if you could survive, because most people couldn't. Now, according to the Bureau of Labor and Statistics, here's what we know. Leisure and hospitality wages have increased by 7% year over year. This is a huge jump, especially in an industry that has seen such low wages for years, decades really. But what we are seeing right now is lower income earners are now starting to make more money. This is helping, but as lower income earners start making more money, these are more like entry-level jobs, right? But as they start making more money, the middle income earners start getting little bits of their raises as well. If they don't, what we are seeing is that we are seeing people change their career, change their jobs to go into a different industry that can make even more money. Because some say, if I am just getting started, whether doesn't matter the job, right? It's entry-level job, you get in and you're making, let's say, $12 an hour, $15 an hour, right? It doesn't matter if you stay in that industry or you go to a different one. If it's, again, still just an entry-level job, something that you're just doing in the meantime. Maybe you're going to school, you're trying to get a degree or a certification doing something, right? If it's just flipping over to a different industry and you're making the same or even more money, more people are going to do that. So we'll see what happens there. We're also seeing that retail wages increased by about 5.5%. Again, year over year, and healthcare saw wages increase about 3.8% as well. Again, these are rough estimates. So far, some are saying that the wage increase is going to be very beneficial to not only our economy, but to worker shortages. And if we get more workers to come back into the workforce, then supply chain issues wouldn't be a big issue moving forward. But some businesses, some CEOs are saying they still anticipate about 6 to 12 months of supply chain issues because we have to get the workers back. We have to entice them back. Some businesses aren't going to really increase wages until 2022. So we still got another, 2 months? 2 months to go before we get into 2022. And then after that, more people come back. We start to see the supply chain kind of works itself out, and then we are back to normal in maybe a year, maybe 2023. We will have to wait and see. We also know that about 12,000 Air Force personnel have rejected the COVID vaccines. This was a mandate, actually. The deadline for this mandate is to get the vaccine by Tuesday. But here's what we're hearing at this time. Right now, the punishment could be these service personnel are either dismissed from the service or receive a charge from the military justice service or system. But according to reports, being that so many people are rejecting this vaccine, many are saying that this date could be ultimately pushed back. So we'll see what happens there. But that is what we know as of right now. Again, I just want to thank you guys for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.